Yeah, welcome to the podcast. We kind of already started talking about our drug escapades. The non-responsible group podcast here today. I want to talk about something this hour and whatever else you guys want to talk about. But I wanted to talk about this Donald Trump COVID relief bill. And I don't know if you guys probably aren't very aware of what's going on back in the States, but there's been a COVID relief bill. There was another one that was signed by Joe Biden just this past weekend. The COVID relief bill is basically just, money for schools, money for people's housing, and then unemployment, et cetera, et cetera. I don't have it up in front of me, but he signed it on Friday. And there was one that Donald Trump put forward, and he's, his administration put forward, and he signed it. This was in late December. I want to say like the 21st, I think. And it was a $23 trillion COVID relief fund. But in this bill, it started a 180-day countdown for the Pentagon and spy agencies to say what they know about UFOs. So,
how many days?
180.
Where are we now?
Well, it'll be July 1st because it was in December. So nobody noticed it. Basically, it was never. This is why you don't really see it on the news, because this was like almost a 6,000-page piece of legislation. And it wasn't really it wasn't included in the text, but it was put in as something called like a committee comment or something like that. And it's attached to the annual Intelligence Authorization Act, which it's all like all this shit's rolled into like one giant thing. Kind of like saying I'm one ingredient of a burrito, but you can't have the burrito unless you take all the ingredients. And so basically they're going to have to acknowledge and show us what they've got, because this has been passed. And I was kind of curious as to what you guys think we might see.
Yo, motherfuckers like did a COVID relief bill, and it's like, by the way, like a clause in there saying that that all information. I wonder what the fuck's gonna come out. I think it's gonna be some shit like, yes, we have been in contact with UFOs. I mean, who the fuck knows? There's so many factors to the shit,
There was a release shortly after the COVID relief bill came in, and I know it did. While it wasn't in the mainstream news, what did get into the mainstream news was the release. I believe it was from the Pentagon I think it was like around early January. So what it did have in there, a lot of it was redacted. So there are still elements where, if it was deemed that certain bits of information would be key to national security, obviously then it can be redacted still. So that leaves quite a lot of room for maneuver in terms of what is and isn't in there. But what it does demonstrate very clearly is that there was a very concerted effort, and has been for many years, by security agencies that took this issue seriously, and that there was and there is evidence from these sources to back it up. So firstly, it gives a credibility, which is kind of like a new thing, because for a long time it's been like, this is a ridiculed subject, or it'll be that sort of tag-on story at the end of the news or something like that. But I think this kind of sort of elevates it into a serious discussion now that is worthy of exploration. But do I believe that we're going to suddenly have a full disclosure? No, we'll have a partial disclosure at best. And I don't think in that partial disclosure that there'll be yeah, hey, we've got the stuff. I think that there will always be this tendency in how this information is released to kind of distance themselves. They've got the opportunity to say, oh, yeah, well, this is going on. We don't know what it is. We've got some evidence. Is that all we're going to see? For me, like, and this goes back to, I think, something that came up last time when we were looking at statistics for where we see UFO sightings come up in the world, and maybe where that information is being collated. In the interim from when we all last spoke, I was watching something. I can't remember I can't remember if it was with Robert Bigelow or one of these ufologists. He was saying, look, to have any edge in understanding of this technology that's being used, or what these things are, is something that would give strategic advantage. So there wasn't a sharing of information internationally, and particularly not between places like Russia and China and the NATO pact countries. So I think we'll see limited amounts, but what we will see is that it was an issue taken seriously.
Well, the report is supposed to address, or apparently must address, observed airborne objects that have not been identified, should include a detailed analysis of unidentified phenomena, data collected by A, geospatial intelligence, B, signals intelligence, C, human intelligence, and D, measurement and signals intelligence. So there's some specifics that they're asking for. So hopefully we won't just get a big redacted sheet of black marker, which is probably what we're going to likely get predominantly. And you said something earlier about national security. Who's to say what is a threat to national security anyway? Right. All up to interpretation, how they might do something. I was watching, what the hell was it? I don't remember what it was, but this airline pilot, Air Force maybe, some military pilot saw what a UFO and said he considered it to be an act of war, and he was going to try and shoot it down. So I don't know what they consider to be national security, because that could have just been a sighting and just been something, and then it doesn't have to be considered violent.
I know I saw that interview as well, and I think it sometimes comes down to this, the way in which I think some notions within the military are maybe indoctrinated, in the sense that I have a family member who is in the police force, and there is this notion that if you see someone and it looks like they've run away from you, you've got something to hide. Right, and actually, when you break down, and I'm trying to remember who the pilot was, but when you break, I'm not sure if it was Dave Fravor or another, because there's been multiple instances over the years, some that are less talked about than the Nimitz from 2004, but. When you break down what he says, he basically says that this craft starts countering. So by which he means that it's trying to avoid them. So for them, it's like, well, why are you trying to avoid us? And so I don't know if it's a slight misconstruing this idea of an act of war, as opposed to what could just be interpreted as an evasive maneuver. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think we'll see what we're hoping to see. But I mean, all these other countries have started to release certain things. I don't have a list of countries in front of me that have, but America hasn't done anything. So I don't
know. I think it was Bolivia. It was one of these No, I'm pretty sure it's Bolivia. There's been quite a few of the, I think, South American nations that have actually been much more transparent about it. And I don't know if it's just because that, again, sort of in a sort of imperialist idea of foreign policy, that you try and protect your edge. You know, Bolivia is not looking to build an empire.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they've got like nothing to lose here by sharing this information as such. Yeah. So anything
So
might put them on the map a little bit.
Right. And actually, I think in some places that has done that, but it's kind of, in a way, a lot of the releases of the Tic Tac information and these Pentagon releases have kind of stolen the limelight of government releases of information. But the one that I think is going to be most interesting will be with the FAA, so the Federal Aviation Authority. Yeah, Federal Aviation Authority. So under the Federal Aviation Authority, I guess they would be overseeing air traffic control. Yeah. So what the air traffic control data shows us is the radar readings. It will show us the speeds, and it will show us the flight paths and the changes in altitude and things like that. Now, I don't think that they don't have the same kind of mindset or the same kind of remit as a military organization does. So I wonder if the things that will come out maybe through that route will actually be more revealing in a way.
And more factual rather than subject to interpretation.
Exactly.
So, yeah, we can interpret it ourselves.
You've got verifiable data, something that you can see came, like, because David Fravor talks about that, they had the radar readings from the Nimitz recording these craft descending from 80,000 feet or whatever it was to sea level in a few seconds, like this. So I think if we've got that, just what is the raw data? Like you say, Jenny, it's not then open to interpretation. It's not then, it can't be, oh, well, you maybe you misinterpreted what you were seeing. It's like, no, look, there's some hard data that is verifiable.
What about Bolivia? What were you saying? What has their reveal been so far?
Well, I know that the Air Force released a load of videos a few years ago that showed again infrared system on an aircraft that was tracking a fleet of different unknown craft that are flying over mountains. And I remember back in, it's hard to find it used to be on YouTube, and I've struggled to try and find it lately. But there was another piece of footage from a few years back, which was shot supposedly one of these big sort of ranges in, I think it's like New Mexico. There's like these big areas of land that are kind of marked off for like military flight training, like the Top Gun school and things like that, that they'll have these big plots of land. And it was filmed from, again, like the gun sight of one of these, I think it was an F-14 Tomcat, and it intercepts this thing that it's flying through the clouds behind it. And this thing's like changing shape, and the pilot, you can hear the pilots going like, what the fuck, what? They're like...
Where is this? Is on YouTube, though?
It used to be on YouTube, and I can't find it now. I can't find it. I haven't been able to find it, but it used to be, you know, you get like these compilations of like weird footage, you know, compilation of Bigfoot footage or monster footage or UFO footage, and it used to come up in a lot of those compilations, but I can't seem to find it now. So, but I mean, that's, yeah, we've only seen a small amount. Bristol Police a couple of years back had footage from one of their helicopters flying over the city, and they were tracking this spherical object, which seems to be sort of like drifting with controlled flight.
If they were seen and wanted us to see them and let everybody know, here we are. There is no question we exist. You would think that they would just hang out long enough for a news crew to capture that shit.
That's happened as well.
Live, I've never seen any footage of anything like that. Where
yeah, there has
daytime sighting on camera, on TV.
Let me just see if I can find it. There was one on the BBC. When was it? It basically someone was doing. There'd been some storms or something like this, and they were on a beach on the east of England, and in the background you've got the sea, and you've got this. I think it was like a pier, and while they're talking to camera, there's these two lights in the sky that are just going. And no one talks about it, but I'm trying to see if I can find a link.
I don't think we're advanced enough yet. I keep saying this. I don't know, like I feel like we're ants or something, but I saw this thing the other day. Wish I could find it. This guy was talking about something he was calling like the acclimatization theory, I think. Have you ever heard of that? Anybody?
No.
Basically, it's the idea that aliens from outer space, we know they exist, but we're getting like a drip feed. So we're going to see them in films, you know, or a video gets leaked, etc. But it's all leading up to this reveal that we keep waiting for. But the reveal apparently is not a real event, kind of like faking an alien invasion. Like kind of,
I heard about something like this,
something like that, right? So, like, I think it's based off like the government has like the ability to create like these images and like this holograms and all this shit, and to make us think that we're being attacked. That is what I'm curious to dig into, because if we can control people, we've already tried to control people's minds with MK Ultra in the U.S. government. It was a very amazing, ballsy fucking move on the American government to test the LSD on people, try to control their minds. With so much more technology that we have now than we did back in the 1960s to do something like that, it seems like this will be something that would be very plausible. They could really pull this shit off. I think they could pull it off, honestly. I think they could fool us into thinking that we're seeing something that we're not. I think they could fool us into capitulating to the government will because we're going to save you from the aliens, that, you know, there's the invasion footage. We're at 9/11. How is there an airplane that flew into the Pentagon and there's no airplane there? So, they do that shit. They do that shit.
Yeah, they found passports and shit like that on the lawn though, or some shit.
Yeah. I mean, yes. Stephen Greer has been talking about this for a long time, and it's mainly based on the testimony of Dr. Carol Rosin, I believe. I think that's how you say her name. And she was part of the early disclosure project, where he was bringing high-profile witnesses to give their testimony of their experience within military or civil aviation, of their experience with ETs or with UFOs. And Carol Rosin worked I think she was a NASA, she'd worked as part of the space program under Dr. von Braun, who was the guy who was responsible for developing the V1, V2 rockets and missiles for the Germans in Nazis in the Second World War, and then was brought over to the US as part of Operation Paperclip, and ended up being one of the chief scientists and designers for all the lunar rockets for NASA. And she, as part of her testimony, she says that he was telling her that what was going to be happening over the course of the next 20, 30, 40 years with regard as to what would be put forward to the public as the chief threat to stability or peace or the world, whatever. And I don't want to butcher her quote, but I would be butchering it if I said it was a quote. But basically, she starts off saying that it's going to start off with, she talks about religious extremism. And then she said, and then they're going to move it to the notion of rogue states. And then they're going to move the notion to whatever next. Then she says it's going to be shifted to the idea about asteroids, and then finally they'll say that the threat is coming from an outside alien threat. And she says that he told her, she said, but Carol, it's all a lie. So Stephen Greer, I think, has put a lot of emphasis on this testimony from Carol Rosin. Now, I don't know either way. I think it's very poignant that a lot of the things that she said, she says that he stated back in the mid-70s have actually been the trajectory of what has been put forward as the main threats to Western democracy or world peace, whatever it is. So that's very interesting, and I think that there is also accounts of I think, like you say, Vaughan, of technologies. I think, was it Project Bluebeam, but the idea being put forward as part of the Bay of Pigs invasion of Cuba, to overthrow Fidel Castro, and the idea was that they wanted to use a holographic projection of like the rapture in the sky, so people would be so awestruck that they wouldn't then respond to the invasion. It's difficult to know what the capabilities are. Are they able to do that?
How easy would it be? I mean, look at what we're doing right now with like social media and our phones, right? So many people are connected to their phones. Everyone's on something, some Twitter or whatever, Facebook.
I think it's absolutely feasible.
Right. So
I think that there, even 3D, the idea of like they do the 3D mapping projection onto buildings.
Right.
I think with an extra component with that kind of technology, would you actually need necessarily a surface to project onto? There are areas of audio-visual technology that are at the point now where, absolutely, projecting a holographic image into an empty three-dimensional space and making it look 3D. It's not that we're not that far off.
Well, I don't think they would struggle to do that, to be perfectly honest.
No, I don't think. I think you're right.
I've seen that is available now to the entertainment industry and to I know what's available now to us, and when it's available to us, the shit that isn't available to us is way doper.
Right.
Always.
Right. Yeah. Right.
when it comes to something like that, you've got 4 billion people on Facebook. That's like over half the fucking planet is on Facebook. Okay, so I'm the government of whatever country. Doesn't matter what country. I only need probably about as much space as I have in this studio to create the environment that I need to make what I want to have happen perfect, right? So with regards to making a massive number of people think they've seen something, I know that you could probably fit enough technology in this space, obviously in an open area where it's going to be seen by a lot of people. Somebody's going to film it. Lots of people are going to film it on their phones. All it has to be is an alien that looks like he's fucking walking right there on the sidewalk. He looks over at you. Something happens. He freaks out, and then he beams himself up, and then he was gone right there on camera, and everybody starts freaking the fuck out. It goes viral in a matter of minutes, and
then the world is united.
Well, actually, this is the thing. I was just wondering, what would be the purpose of them doing this exactly? Right. Is it to unite or to divide? Is it to kind of make us open to the suggestion of having to kind of, maybe not talk about uniting with the rest of humankind. Maybe we're talking about uniting with something in the galaxy, or or what is it, like human slavery? I don't know. Like
unite with humankind first. So something like that is the end of nationalhood or nationhood. It's done. Right?
Yeah.
You have to have that in order for everyone to. There was this comic book character named Flag Smasher who's in like Captain America.
I heard of this guy.
He used to attack all the nation's leaders so that they would have to join together in order to fuck him up, right? Because like individually, you guys can't fuck with me, so you guys have to unite to come together against me. That's what you're looking at. Otherwise, then we're not ready. I think what it is, I was thinking this today, is like aliens, as it's just a term, look at us and probably like, you fucking stupid humans, will you please evolve already? It's like they're looking at us, they're sitting there watching us, and we're like in this petri dish that they've created. And because somebody was saying like, yeah, they come here, blah blah blah, and he's like, I was trying to shoot it down or something like that. And it's like, that's part of the problem. You're so violent. Everything is so violent. All we want to do is fuck shit up. And it's like,
we'll make great pets. We'll make great pets. That one off a Pyro song. That's all it is. We're gonna be on the leash.
But that's the thing I was gonna say. So okay, let's say one of the hypothetical outcomes is that humankind is united. I actually just don't see that happening, to be honest. Even if with the best intentions, I just don't really feel that could actually happen. But what would it be for? Is it kind of like they're introducing us to the idea of alien dominance, and then they're going to be mining our Earth resources even more so, gold or whatever, and we're just going to become slaves that just are kind of,
maybe,
I don't know. Yeah.
This is
God, that would be.
We're gonna be like looking back at lockdown, and be like, man, do you remember the good times?
I don't think maybe slaves, but I think that they potentially could say, hey, we use this planet too, and you guys are fucking it up, and you need to knock it off, or else.
Yeah, I mean, it depends what aliens. I think we said last time that we don't think all these aliens are singing from the same hymn sheet here, like humans. Maybe they have there's different species within aliens and stuff, and there's different intentions as well. So I really hope we have the good aliens. They come down and they're just guys, evolve. Let's take care of your planet. Zoop, 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 zoop. Clean up the oceans.
It is. I mean, I think we've probably got all of the above there. It's like the difference in different people's experience, or these. Okay, So going, but I like the idea of a petri dish metaphor. Okay, so sorry about it, takes. I'm getting more philosophical, but you'll get it. When that biologist puts that seed into that kind of thing to grow in that petri dish, it doesn't come back a day later and go, oh, it's grown beyond the rate that I was expecting it to grow at. It doesn't do that because it knows the rate that it grows at. So while I think that you're right in saying that the things that we need to overcome as a species before we even consider the wider universe as our playground, you're right, we're not effing ready at all. But the idea about having something to unify, we have this notion that that unification is necessarily a positive thing. Well, what we've got at the moment in the UK or in parts of the world is a unification on a policy which is actually keeping us, is a position of control. So that unification that we talk about is not necessarily a positive unification, but
medical martial law.
Right, to say, hey, look, actually, they've created a false flag situation that we think that us regular people think we're fighting against an enemy that's coming from outside with more advanced technology, when in fact it's our own people maybe working in collaboration or just purely them on their own doing it. That's a powerful thing. These are technologies that even by modern standards are, like God level. That you're either in it or you're out of it. You've got a divergence in a sort of like a breakaway society. Those that have access to that kind of power or those kind of technologies, obviously having the upper hand. And like you said, you talked about the sort of idea of, slavery or what. There is a lot of ideas that are put out there. And I think that, again, going back to Stephen Greer's thing, that this is a narrative that he seems to come back to quite a lot. The idea being that there will be this false situation that happens, that like you say, the idea of nationhood falls away overnight. It comes up with some serious questions for organized religion. It comes up with some serious problems with the financial and economic structures, the power generation structures, the petrochemical industry, the military industrial complex. It's a complete overhaul of everything that we thought that we knew.
Damn.
Well, that's what we're experiencing right now anyway, isn't it?
Mm.
Or what we're going to experience in the next year due to COVID. A complete overhaul and complete restructuring of how we live our lives every day.
If we let it.
No, I don't even think it has nothing to do with us. It's going to have everything to do with the way that governments regulate businesses and they regulate cities and they regulate society.
Unless there is a pushback.
There's not going to be enough of a pushback.
But I'd just say what the likelihood of that is, but unless there is a pushback.
Of course there'll be pushback, and I'll be right here on the microphone going, y'all on some bullshit over there.
From an undisclosed location. Yeah.
I don't know. Who knows? But yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely going to be some pushback. It's going to be immense, but it all depends on how severe I guess. We always perceive anything that's trying to come at us as a threat, and not maybe they're trying to come at you with something positive, like some knowledge or some information that'll help you advance or something. I've not seen too many times where someone's like, yeah, it was a credible threat. And I felt like my life, we're more afraid of each other. We're trying to kill each other just from.
I mean, well, there it is. That history tells you that right there. When when the Native Americans seen the Nina and Pina and the Santa Maria, you know what I'm saying? Like that tells you right there. Like humankind our intentions are to conquer a lot of times. You know what I mean? And I think that we're getting what we reflect. You know, I mean, not my intentions, obviously, but the world that we live in today.
Voltec, you are evil. Yeah, it is. It's kind of sad, but I mean,
it's another interesting element of the story that you bring up, Johnny, because you're saying that those ships were there to conquer, but how they were viewed, they thought the gods had arrived.
Mm. Well, I don't know. I don't know about that part, but I know that
certainly in South not in South America with Columbus and the conquistadors following, because they hadn't seen these things. Mm-hmm. It was like us looking at UFOs going, what the hell is this technology?
Absolutely.
And suddenly in the bay there's these ships with these men who are a foot taller than them and have blonde hair, these color hair and color skin that they haven't seen before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did we discuss this last time? Something about
that's alien in itself.
Well, yeah. Wait, Christopher Columbus following something in the sky.
Oh, there's records
did we talk
in
about this? Yeah.
I think we brought up there was records that he saw a UFO like in the ocean.
Yeah, and that's what he followed or something. Yeah, and that's what led him to America.
I don't know if he followed it. I know that there was some writings about it, but
let's just say he followed it. It sounds interesting. He's like, aliens are like, here's a gift to mankind.
Check this shit out over
here. I is more entertaining.
Yeah, but I think shit, man. I don't know what the fuck to think. I get somebody else say something. Shit.
Actually, wait. Somebody posed this to me the other day. We were talking about aliens, and they said, "What if these aliens are just future versions of ourselves?"
Being like, "Yo, y'all about to fuck up your whole shit."
I mean, like,
well, I didn't quite. Sorry, everyone.
What do you mean by future versions of us? Like our evolutionary process complete, or
yeah? But then I'm like, then they've come back. Though, why is that? Because I don't really feel that from the encounters that have been reported, people are like, oh my god, I just got this amazing idea. I'm gonna really help humankind. Thanks, aliens. Can't wait to see you again. So really get that vibe.
Some people have reported that. Is it possible? Yeah, I can't see why that's not possible. I mean, if we're already considering the possibility that UFOs are from elsewhere, and that there does seem to be elements within the technology that involve interdimensional travel, and potentially that sort of brings into questions of sort of actual sort of non-linear time technologies. Yeah, I mean, some people have spoken about this and sort of said, yeah, look, and again, given different reasons as to the reasons why they've come back. But again, can any of that be substantiated? I think it's good to consider all of the possibilities, because the notion that we're going to, at this point in time, somehow find this real truth of what it really is, like, we're a long way off that. And even if they turned up and told us explicitly, we'd be like, yeah, but are they telling the truth? I don't know. I think it's good to be aware of these potentials of where these things are coming from, but I don't. It's not that they're just interested in this period now, because there's accounts, like you say, going back hundreds of years of you talked about Columbus, but there's very old depictions, medieval depictions in art form.
I mean, you see them in the old freaking Crusades.
Paintings,
and hieroglyphs and everything,
yeah. So, and also you've got a lot of the kind of the even more sort of ancient kind of accounts from places like Sumeria and the ancient Vedic tales. So the question is, like, how long has this been going on for? I think the idea that there are future people coming back has been more of a recent topic that's come in, and again, could be all of the above. Probably is.
A lot of the stories that I was hearing about people that have been communicated with, that recollect what was communicated, that they were saying about technology being a detriment to our,
Well, that goes back to when we were talking about those African kids that saw that got contacted.
So that would kind of maybe lend to the theory that they're from the future, coming back to say, hey, maybe you're going down the wrong path with whatever it is that we're doing. Whether AI, or whether you're trying to go fuck with the moon or Mars, whatever it may be. But I think the fact that we're going to very soon be living on multiple planets is a kind of a big deal.
That's bugged out, bruh. That's like my son's grandkids are going to be like, have the possibility to be.
Yeah, but they're going to be like, you lived on Earth, but what's...
Oh my God.
They're going to look different too, aren't they? So if you're like born on Mars, your body's not going to be the same. Gravity's different. There's all these factors that are going to create these different species of us, these different versions of us. So maybe this is somebody coming, let's say, try this or whatever. Maybe just the representatives from the alien faction that's out there winning the war for planet Earth. There's two or 20 different alien species out there fighting for who gets to come to Earth and take it over. And they're just sending down ambassadors to see what the fuck's going on down here. And they show up every now and then because we've started blowing up nuclear weapons, and they're like, yeah, we need to go see what's going on with these idiots that we put down here that have evolved from monkeys into these, club-bearing, opposable thumb morons that just want to destroy shit. I don't know what's going to happen. I know the United States put together some sort of task force for unidentified aerial anomalies back last August. And there's definitely some shit that's going to happen.
What the fuck can motherfuckers do if aliens came here on some hostile shit, though? Like, why even put together a task force to just blow ourselves the fuck up, like, with our fucked up weapons and shit? Like, you know what I mean? It's just like, the task force is just a bunch of people that are designed to make everybody feel calm. I feel like that's the task force. It's just, everybody just fucking, they deploy, like, groups of fucking monks and shit to every fucking town and be like, everybody just be calm, nothing's gonna happen and shit. Because what the fuck are we gonna do? Blow?
Yeah, we're fucked.
Motherfucking, and if there's a hostile thing, but you know what it is just the everything is so fragile because all the different governments around the world and the times we live in, this version of the human race have denied the possibility, and we're trapped in our ego that we must be the intelligent, we're at the top of the food chain on this planet type of thing, so it's very fragile, and that's the thing, is it's going to be more about the reaction of people, but the likelihood of a hoax happening, I mean, it's very high, man. Come on, deep fake technology. Imagine that shit. We can use that stuff on our apps, but how long ago that stuff existed? You know what I mean? I remember was I telling you guys this? They would, I want to say it was like Nike or somebody did a hologram of a basketball player in New York, and he was like dunking through the ocean. Like they did like the holograms like they used with Old Dirty Bastard and Tupac. They did this and they projected on the ocean. There was a new sneaker coming out, and it was somebody that they would jump out of the ocean and dunk, but it was like 50 foot high type of thing, and they were projecting this for like a day. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I never saw that, but yeah, there's definitely technology that I think we need to keep an eye out for. But one thing that we can't say that we can expect, back to the original topic of this, these documents that are to be released, just because America, if say America did have something that they got, some spacecraft or space being, they would never tell the world that they had it, because there's absolutely no advantage to letting everybody in every other country know I've got something that I'm reverse engineering, or a weapon now, or whatever. They would never do that. So what else can they possibly give us other than, you know, we had a sighting, here's a body, so something, you know. But technologically, they're not going to say shit. They'll say, oh yeah, the shit was destroyed. If an airplane can hit a building and catch fire and disintegrate, you know, a spaceship, they can say, oh yeah, that just poof into fucking nothingness. So
that's true. It's absolutely, and to be honest, it's too easy to kind of actually have it's too easy to have plausible deniability, basically, because you're talking about something that's so advanced. All they're going to say is, well, yeah, well, we found a crash. We don't know what the stuff is. All the occupants were dead. You know, where do you go from there? I think that any kind of real disclosure stuff is going to come from, again, just grassroots stuff. There is, at the same time as I think that we've got these sort of kind of the idea about kind of governmental contacts. There's a huge number of people, I think, within the ufology community or contactee community that talk about the essence of what they came away from these experiences and what they felt that they were being directed to look at. And a lot of the time it's about kind of notions of spirituality, about this notion that we are, you know, on a rock hurtling through space, and that we need to look after our environment, and that we are spiritual beings here having some kind of experience. And sometimes people have kind of get some ideas of where that these other beings fit into that process. But there's a lot of really positive stuff that comes out of it. And I think the other part of that is that the message that they seem to be left with isn't that these things are coming here to save us, but rather they're trying to impart some wisdom that we might be able to save ourselves from ourselves. So I think that there is, for me personally, I think that if any race of being was just to turn up like this, like, hey, we're here, that in itself is a statement, because it's saying that already, it's stating outwardly that we are setting our status above you because we have the ability to do that and you don't. Now, I don't think any advanced conscious or advanced spiritual society or species would do it in that way. My thought would be that if you look at a child, you try and nurture that which is already within them. Right? And you do that in ways that aren't necessarily always explicit. it's a guide, like a guidance thing. So, you know, and we sort of touched on this sort of a little bit last time, the idea of where does the alien and interdimensional species or technology or ability to go through space and time, warp technology, and kind of these very magical things, where does that overlap with more traditional tales about these sort of I kind of think we get bogged down with terms, but things like angels, demons, jinns, and things like this, that actually there seems to be either way an imparting of not just sometimes about technological ideas, but more about conscious and spiritual ideas as well. So I think that those positive experiences that seem to happen on quite individual levels, you know, and whether it's even about having something that's like a really involved experience, or just like, you know, like yourself, Johnny, like when you say you saw something that didn't fit into what you currently what you understood, those moments are really profound because you can't go back on them. And it makes you approach things going forward in a completely different way. So, where, I don't know, what your thoughts on that? Because, I mean, I see some very positive outcomes for people having these experiences as well.
I mean, I agree with you. I mean, I think actually, because I was thinking that I think the more recent abduction stories or contact with aliens, I definitely haven't really heard anything positive come out of it. But I definitely think in the past, many religious experiences or even religions have been built on alien encounters. And actually, I'm not sure if I mentioned this last time, but I think even like the kind of like the Greek and like the Roman gods and things, I think, you know, that might be based on like, you know, Mount Olympus. There's like this kind of like base in the sky, even like Atlantis. I mean, was that just like a UFO that was like sitting on the water? And even, well, going back to like all that mythology, the Minotaur, all that kind of stuff, are these all results of kind of genetic experimentations at the hands of the aliens?
Well, you know, we can do that shit now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
So there it is.
Yeah, so I think they were just way ahead of us. And now it's our time to meddle with such things. But going back to this idea of a staged, well, this is the thing. I think we've referred to it as a staged attack, right?
Yeah, false.
It's a false attack. So why? Why exactly? Why does it have to be an attack? Why wouldn't they, exactly as you said, kind of like if you want to appeal to a child to cooperate with you, why couldn't it be a really beautiful, peaceful, enlightening experience? So I feel, all right, they just want to unite everybody in fear.
I think that, well, I think that idea is because we live in a very distrustful life right now. You know what I mean? Like, we don't trust our governments. We don't trust, you know, there's a lot of, we know the horrible things we're capable of doing. So I think that that's why that sort of seems to be the, you know, the overall outlook, is because, you know, there's people still like, you know, everyone is divided right now. Anti-vaxxers, vaccine people, you know, all the different type of protests and everything. And I think that, you know, we are, you know, that's just how things are always framed in this world, because we're trying to control one another, you know.
So that's why they're describing it as an attack, in your opinion, or
I don't know. I mean, I don't know who said this. I did hear something like that as well, though, Vaughn. But there was a guy that does like a podcast thing, and he was talking about that, you know. And But I don't know. I mean, I think anything we don't understand are we sort of
We
fight
fear.
against. You know what I mean? I think as an overall, world community, I guess that's going to be the first reaction. Like bees in a beehive. You know what I mean? If you get close to the beehive, it's just like attack. You know what I'm saying? So
it's easy for them to manipulate the masses and make us fall into this fear state that
yeah.
COVID. I mean,
Yeah, that's what I was getting to. I'm sorry. Yeah, thank you for redirecting me.
Time last year, so that maybe was a trial run just to see what was going on. You already know how I feel about that stuff saying it didn't come from a lab when there's a level 4 fucking lab right there in Wuhan. Anyway,
Horrible.
I don't know. I mean, I think we follow the herd. We're like sheep most of the time. We follow our groups. Everyone's got their group on Facebook. You got your group on Twitter. You got your group. And if your group's not happy, then you're not happy.
Well, now your groups are really like, we're really broken into groups now because of algorithms and shit. If you think one thing and you look up one thing, then you get in that whole shit. And, I've looked at something in the morning one day and then like the next morning, it's something I never look up. And then the next morning at that same time, it's on my algorithm. It shows up on my feed.
Once you watch something once, it starts to feed it to you. So I've curated social media accounts like that before with like TikTok, where I only look at like the most fucked up shit, and it will only send you the most fucked up shit. So you have to make sure that you're telling them what you want to see, I guess.
I wonder what the fuck. All right, say that there is, this does happen. Like you said, it's a UFO, comes down, or alien is revealed, shows up and then beams away or whatever. What the fuck would the masses do? Like, I really wonder. Like,
they think it was fake.
Yeah,
they think it was fake. They say CGI.
It's too scary. It's too scary to realize it's real.
It's not real.
So I think you've got enough agent provocateurs that will make it seem credible. You've got
I agree.
But what the fuck people will do? That's just the thing. You know what I mean? Priests to be quitting and shit.
Yeah, exactly. Just imagine what's going to happen to religious institutions. So just be like, could be kind of good though, because if you have some kind of like extreme religious groups and they're like, I'm not too sure if we're going to go ahead with our plans anymore. So there we go. Silver lining, possibly.
Goodness. I think we'll see something soon. How soon? Who knows? What we'll see? Who knows? I don't know. I want to thank you guys for joining me today. Just casual chit chat.
Thank you.
The only one that's not completely out of her mind right now, so finding it extremely difficult to strike up intellectual conversation this evening. I'll blame Johnny Voltek for pushing it back, giving me that extra half an hour for those editors to kick in.
It's hills and valleys, baby. You know what I'm saying? Hills and valleys.
I'm supposed to be sitting on the sofa right now.
I did bring up Coming to America.
No, don't start. Don't say that. Wednesday.
All right, I'm
until then. So
this is like a little teaser for whoever subscribes to these podcasts. Like that's in the works.
But yeah, I'll save it until Wednesday. All right, guys. We'll catch you guys on the next time when we catch you guys on the Von Joseph Show. Peace.
Peace. Bye.